First, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you all here. You are the second most important group in the university. Your sons and daughters are the most important. However, what we've tried to do for parents and with parents is develop an organization so that we can do a couple of things. Again, since we feel that you are one of the major groups and probably the group most concerned about the quality of the educational experience here at Rutgers for your sons and daughters, we figure you should have some say in what goes on here, and you should have some opportunity to ask questions and concerns. So this Parents Association developed about 4 years ago when we restructured undergraduate education in New Brunswick, and we decided that we would like to have an organization where you, as the parents, could have some input, okay? As you know, if you've ever heard me speak before, it's free. Doesn't cost you anything. A little tuition and fees, maybe, to get into the Parents Association. But other than that, there are no other charges. What we do with the association, again, we think you're one of the major concerns. When the university makes decisions and goes to change things in the university, we go to the students, we go to the faculty, we go to the staff, and we go to the alumni, and now we go to the parents. You are a very major organization here at Rutgers University. Right now, we have 27 board members, and I'm going to introduce Cheryl in a minute. She's the president of the board, and we want to expand that board from 27 to 35. We want to have a larger input in what goes on in the university. We have approximately 10,000 families that have gone online to register with the Parents Association. And we say that makes you an active parent. Doesn't mean you have to come to all the events. Doesn't mean you have to be here for all the functions. But it means that you're getting the notifications every 2 weeks. You're hearing about what goes on in the university. And you have an avenue to ask questions and concerns. So the two things we're trying to do with the Parents Association, you're trying to do, number one, we want to provide input into what's going on in the university. So we're going to send you information. So when do the term bills come out? When do grades come out? How do you get certain things in the university? Because as you've already seen, most of you, none of that stuff generally goes to you, even though you pay the bill. It goes to your sons and daughters. We're not saying you can do anything for your sons and daughters, but we think you should have every right to know when things come out and what they go in case they didn't provide you with all that information and you needed to know it, and we don't want you paying late fees and things like that. So our number one choice, our number one concern is to inform parents as to what's going on in the university. And the last concern, which I personally think is the most important, is we listen to you. We want your opinions. We want to hear from you. We want to know what's good and what's bad and how we can make this better, and that's kind of how we do it. What we're going to do now is I'm going to introduce Cheryl Grabelny, who's the president of your Parents Association, and she's going to say a few words, and then we're going to have each of the members of the board who are here tonight just come up and kind of say who they are, and so you can see where they're sitting here. So before the end of the night, if you get a chance to talk to some of them, and you'll get a chance to see who's on the board and what's going on. I'll start by saying my name is Lee Schneider. I'm the Dean and Executive Director for the Parents Association. I work for you, so I really need input in terms of the kind of job we're doing. We have a relatively small office that works with the Parents Association. Andy Campbell is the Director of Communication and Technology. And Anita Molinari, who is in her third day of working here, is the new administrative assistant for the Parents Association. If you go to our website, you'll see pictures, names, phone numbers of the folks who are there, and we're going to add pictures, names, phone numbers of board members too, so you'll have folks that you can interact with on a regular basis. And rather than me talking anymore, I'd like to introduce Cheryl Grabelny, who's the president of your Parents Association.
I'm so excited to see all of you here this evening. I was just here on Saturday. My son was married in the gardens and we had the reception in this very pavilion. My family has a 60-year history at the university. Like yourselves, I'm a parent too. My son, who was married, was a 2010 graduate of SAS. I currently have a junior at SAS. Sometimes he thinks he's a Cook student or a SEB student. That's okay. I, too, was married in these gardens, and I love Rutgers. I really bleed scarlet. My dad taught here as well. So what I'm telling you is, as a parent, your student could not have come to a better university. This Parents Association is here to provide you with information throughout the year. Take as much of it or as little of it as you wish. Become involved as much as you want or as little as you want, but know that we are a resource for you, and during the course of the year we'll provide you with a multitude of programs and information that will help you have the best experience as you interface with your student through their college experience. One of the things I do want to mention before we start our program is Rich Gallagher mentioned the constituent groups. Between Rutgers, Cook, Douglas, SAS, Skills, School of Pharmacy, Engineering, or expanding, we provide so much for you and your students. We're very proud that we actually gave out a little bit more. It was $32,000 in scholarships this year. We provided internships, externships, and a lot of our students gained employment through various companies that we network, and we assist the students gain employment. So there are so many resources you have at your fingertips. So again, ask questions, talk to us, and please be involved, even if it's only to get information. I'm going to turn this back to Lee.
Thank you, Cheryl. We've talked a lot about the constituent groups and the overall association. Everything's going to run out of the overall association, the Rutgers Parents Association, but we do think it's important. Rutgers this year is going to be about 58,000 students. About 40,000 of those students will be in New Brunswick. And we really think it's important to have constituent groups out of the Parents Association. We can't do everything for everybody all in one setting. So if we develop constituent groups, and the School of Pharmacy has special issues that their parents or you as parents of students in the School of Pharmacy are concerned about, we can address those individually in a smaller group setting so that we can take care of it and we can address all the issues that we have. So you'll see lots of constituent groups forming this year. School of Business is forming one. We have two in the EOF program, one for SAS and one for the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences. We have one for pharmacy that's forming, one for engineering. So we're going to have various groups get together and meet. This association, we decided last year in our strategic planning, or 2 years ago in our strategic planning, we're going to have 5 programs a year. This is one of them, the Welcome Back program for mostly new families, but I see some upper-class families who haven't been here and decided to come on the tour. I think that's great. So I think that's really, really important that we do that. We have 2 programs in the fall, 2 program weekends in the fall, and we have 2 in the spring. The 3 that are scheduled already, we have one, Show Me the Money, which is where we talk about our scholarship opportunities. We have a scholarship luncheon. I think this year it's May 2nd. It's the day after, I guess it's earlier this year. I'm not sure. It's the end of April. We have our scholarship luncheon. As you heard from Cheryl and Rich, we gave out $32,000 in scholarships. This year, we're also part of the foundation. So if the university calls you and your new families, the one thing we asked is, do me a favor, don't call new families and ask for donations. They just paid their term bills. They really don't want to hear from you. However, university said, no, we're calling them. We think it's important to get them started earlier. So we said, okay, well, let's work with you. And Cheryl and her family, which is an incredible family, all who have graduated from the university, became the chair of the Parents Fund. And I don't have all the figures exactly, but with the latest figures we got, I believe $10,000 was donated this year to the Parents Association, all of which goes into scholarships that your sons and daughters can apply for, a variety of different things, against all odds scholarships, academic and leadership awards. We do all sorts of things. And again, you'll be asked to sit and interview and help with students, not your own, but others who are applying for the jobs. So we put everything we garner into scholarship opportunities for students, and we take it on a regular basis. It's not an endowed scholarship where we collect money and we take the resources and go. We're taking whatever we get this year and we're putting it back out to students who are in the community, and that's one of the things we think is important. So the Show Me the Money is a big one. Last year, for the first time, we did a program called Show Me the Jobs, and we had people talk about job opportunities on campus, work-study jobs, non-work-study jobs. We had career services lead the charge about how you can start working on your job opportunities and career opportunities when you're a freshman, not the last semester of your senior year. Oh, by the way, here I am, get me a job. I used to always tell students, I was the dean of students at Cook for many years, and oh, by the way, I'm also a graduate of Rutgers. I have all 3 of my degrees from the university. 69 was the first one. And again, I love the place. And if you hear me at any point in time, you'll hear how great I think the university can potentially be. But what I think and what the other parents think and what you think really isn't important. I'd like to say it is, but it's not. It's all about your sons and daughters. And if you've been at any of the orientations, we want you to encourage them to immerse themselves in the educational process. They come here, get started, and I know I'm sorry for some of the moms. I hope you don't see them till Thanksgiving if they're staying on campus. I really want them to stay, find out what's going on here, meet other people, talk to faculty advisors, get involved in what's going on at the university. It makes that experience so much better, and they're the only ones who can make their experience good. Doesn't matter where they live, whether they commute, whatever, it's what you put into it that will determine that. And you hear everybody how excited they are. I think it's great. And we use this organization kind of to help us impress upon all the folks here that these are the kinds of things we do. And we also have, like I said, our strategic planning sessions where you'll be invited, and you can do it online. As you see here, we film our 5 programs so that somebody who lives in California, who can't be here for this welcome back, but would like to see what's going on, can go to our website and view the video. When we're in a position where we can live stream it, Andy, who's great with computers, there he is. Andy will sit on his computer and he'll answer questions and take questions and provide them right on site, on time. So that's what we do. Tonight we have 4 groups that will say something. Everything from public safety to programs and activities in the university to computers and the bookstore talking about the purchasing of books. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Diana Orban-Brown and Patty Kastner to talk about programs.
Hi. As Dean Schneider said, I'm Diana Orban-Brown. I'm Director of the Office of Community Engagement, which is an initiative of the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences. It was started by Dean Bob Goodman, who sends his regards. He couldn't be here tonight, but he welcomes you all to our side of the campus. I'd like to introduce Patricia Kastner. She is the Assistant Director, and she is going to be going around and giving you, I've got too many, I need a third hand, okay, one of these, one like per couple or family. What this is a survey. It will only take 2 or 3 minutes to fill out. If you don't have a pen, Patty has some, but they belong to Dean Schneider, so let's return them. Or you can do it online. You can get to our website at www.discovery.rutgers.edu. Now let me tell you what this is all about. When I was mother of a college student, I kind of wished that I had gotten to know his university a little bit better. Yes, I went to some of the football games, and yes, I took him, and he took him down to campus and picked him up and got him settled in his dorm room and unpacked him when he had to come home for the summer. But other than that, I really didn't get to know the university very well. So this is an opportunity for parents to get to know Rutgers and particularly the programs of the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences better. This survey will ask you for some basic contact information. It'll ask you about what things you're interested in doing. Do you like to go to lectures? Do you like field trips? Do you want to travel places? We don't do much traveling just yet, but that's on the agenda for later. And what subject areas are you interested in? And then we will invite you, completely apart from your students, they don't even have to know that you're on campus, we will invite you to certain events and things, and you are free to come and get to know the university a little bit better and get to see it kind of from their standpoint too. We think that this is a nice way to orient parents, and a number of the programs have nominal fees, but most of them are free of charge, and they are also in various parts of the state of New Jersey. We've got one that's going to take place in about 3 weeks in Pittstown. We just did one down by Bridgeton in May. This year we're going to the blueberry fields. We're going to pick blueberries and learn about nutraceuticals and blueberries. And we have a lot of really excellent speakers that you're invited to come and listen to. And the best part about it is we will not bother you with invitations to those things that you're not interested in hearing about. So it's only those things that you indicate an interest in, and we would be so happy to welcome you there. And please, when you're filling out the survey or if you come online, do note that you're a Rutgers parent. We would love to see you at our events. If you have any questions, Patty or I would be happy to help you. And if you want to, by the way, you can turn these in tonight, or you can mail them in. It's postage paid, or you can go online. And again, the website is www.discovery.rutgers.edu. And when you go to the home page, you'll see on the left-hand menu your interest survey. That's what you click on to fill this out. It takes about 2 minutes. Thank you very much.
One of the things that people that we haven't introduced, and I'm sure some of you already know them, but Kim Stanek is started as a work-study student in the Parents Association office, so she was a freshman 4 years ago. She graduated this May with a degree in math. And she is now in her 5-year educational program. She's getting certified to teach. She'll be doing her student teaching at Bridgewater. And Kim will have her master's degree at the end of next year. So in 5 years, she was able to get an undergraduate degree in an education program, get certified to teach, and she graduates with a master's degree. It's an incredible program. She's been incredible for our program. She filled in for Barbara Sokolsky, who was our administrative assistant, who retired in May. And Kim has been working with us, and we're keeping her on now, and she's helping Anita get settled into the new program. Kim. And also, Jeannie Stanek. I don't know if Jeannie can hear me. She's Kim's mom. She's also secretary of the Parents Association. And you met them at the registration table. They obviously keep working and collecting scholarship money and donations. And so that's Jeannie's new role. In addition to being secretary, she's fundraising chair at the association. Next, I'd like to introduce, excuse me, I'd like to introduce Rhonda Harris, who's the chief of police here at Rutgers University, and Richard McGilvery, who's one of the community police officers at the university, to talk a little bit about safety and security at Rutgers.
Thank you. Hi, good evening, everyone. Let me adjust to this microphone. I was very happy to see there was a microphone when I heard Lee booming that voice out. I'm like, oh no, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that or not. So I'm happy to see we've got this. I just want to get a show of hands real quick. How many people are here, your student is a first-year student? All right, that's a pretty good number. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the police department tonight. I'll give you a little history on myself and Officer McGilvery and the department as a whole. And then I'm going to have Officer McGilvery talk to you about some of the services and programs that we offer here on the campus that you might not see in a traditional police department. I've got 22 years in now with the University Police Department. I started off as a police officer in Oklahoma. I relocated out to New Jersey. I hadn't finished my bachelor's degree, and I started working for Rutgers, and I got a job with the police department. I didn't have much intention of staying. I completed my bachelor's degree. I got a master's degree from John Jay, and I received a couple of promotions in that time period. And I went back to Rutgers, and I got a master's degree from Rutgers. So maybe I'm just going to stay here and stay in school is the way it looks, you know. Our department has a good handful of officers that are graduates here of Rutgers University, and they take not only education seriously, but they understand that kind of that dynamic that happens when you're away from home the first time and you're out and you're experimenting and you're trying to do things that maybe you don't really know what your capacities are or what your limitations are, and you're out there trying to get mixed up with that. Our department has 50 sworn police officers, counting me. We've got about 22 security officers, and then we have about 116, I believe, student officers. The student officers, we have a program called the Community Service Officer Program. We hire students. They have a pretty flexible schedule. They have to work a certain number of hours a month. They have to work a certain number of football games a year. And we pay them $10 an hour, and we let them get their degree. We expect them to get good grades. They have to maintain a good, solid GPA. And you'll see them when you go to the Rutgers football game or to a basketball game. Those students are the ones that are doing bag checks and doing that just to make sure that nothing weird is getting into the facility. The security officers, they do kind of a different job for us. They'll do escorts late at night. They might lock your door if somebody on the campus has left their door locked, or a student has left their property inside a room and the building's already been locked. They'll go help out with that. And then they also help us by patrolling the campus and notifying the police if they see anything that's odd. Now, in addition to all that, the police department here on campus, about, I want to say 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we made a major investment in technology. We purchased camera systems. We have a very nice headquarters. We have a state-of-the-art dispatch center, and we run these cameras back into our dispatch center. We don't monitor the cameras live, but what we do is sometimes we monitor the cameras live randomly. We check to make sure the cameras are working on a regular basis, but anytime a crime occurs, we can go back to that video footage and we can pull it, and it helps the detectives solve cases where in the past we might not have had any kind of idea about what happened or what who might have done this crime. So it's now that I've mentioned that word crime, I'm going to ask, how many people got a crime alert or saw a crime alert this summer? Just a handful, that's it? All right, well, I got 100 emails into my email for those few people who saw them. The police department, what we do, we're required by law as a university police department, we're required to notify the university community about a certain kind of crimes that happen on campus. Those would be serious offenses or crimes that have a high risk that somebody else might be victimized, a recurring pattern of crime, if you will. So we will put those out for any crime that happens on campus, but we'll also put it out for a crime that happens in the surrounding area around campus. Most frequently, that's going to be the area in between Easton Avenue and the College Avenue campus. On the College Avenue campus, I see a lot of people shaking their head yes. That's a residential area. It's in between a number of pubs and late-night establishments and the residence halls. So we have incidents that will occur in there. In addition to the crime alerts that we put out, we'll put those out when we become aware, when we have information. And those are designed, this law is actually a consumer advocate law. So what it's designed to do is to give you information so that you can make good decisions about your own safety and about the safety of your children and what school you want to send them to. So in addition to doing that, after Virginia Tech happened, you probably heard there was a lot of conversation about how fast they notified the community, or how fast they didn't notify the community is what the conversation was. And as a result of that, universities all across the United States invested in a text messaging system. I'm going to ask that you encourage, or do it yourself, plug your student, your daughter, your son's information into that database so that they get it. When we send out the text alert, that they're going to receive it and they'll have that information. We've only used it once, but that's enough, right? You want them to have that information. The crime alerts will come into their email and they'll see them that way. So encourage them to read them. Don't just delete them. And encourage them to take them seriously. And if they have any questions, contact us. Like I said, we do escorts, we do all kinds of stuff, and we'd be more than happy to try to figure out, help somebody make a personal safety plan, if you will. The department also has, in addition to just a traditional uniformed presence, we put out officers on foot, on cars, on bicycles, on motorcycles. We have ATVs. So we try to find, there's all kinds of different property here, which you can tell from walking around here tonight. So we try to have an availability to get officers out into those areas. We take public safety very seriously. We have an emergency services unit. There's an ambulance that works for the university. They have people who check the fire alarms in the residence halls and make sure the fire alarm drills happen. And we take it very seriously, and we would encourage you to have a conversation with your son or daughter about their safety and about making good safety choices. When the fire alarm goes off, you're not going to want to leave the dorm, especially when you already know it's false. Well, you don't know it's false. Remind them. Just go outside. It's not going to take that long. Get outside, let them clear the building, and then we'll invite everybody back in. We just want to make sure there isn't a problem instead of waiting and find there is a problem. From anybody who's from New Jersey, you're well aware it's not that long ago that Seton Hall had a major problem. So just evacuate the building, we'll check it, and we'll let everybody back in. In addition to that, we also do some other kinds of things here on campus. I guess I'm getting into Rich's area a little bit here. But we have a community services unit, a community policing unit. The whole department operates under community policing philosophy. My goal is I'd rather stop the crime before it happens. We'd rather be proactive. We try to get information out to the community. We try to be highly visible. Everywhere we have those cameras, we have a big giant sign that says cameras for safety, which hopefully is that subliminal message to whoever might want to do a crime that maybe I don't want to do it here. All right, so that's the goal, is that we keep them moving and keep them out of the area. So in addition to those things, we also have the community services unit. What they'll do is they'll go into residence halls, they'll meet with groups like this, they'll meet with any kind of group on campus, sometimes very small, sometimes it can grow to very large, and we talk to them about different things that we could do. Rich McGilvery does a program on safety on spring break, and he does a lot of different stuff, and he works with the students to put things together. So Rich is kind of the guy who designs our programs in terms of for the students and getting out and trying to get them to think about safety in a way that isn't corny, right? I mean, safety is not something that young people worry about. So we try to find a way to engage them in that, and Rich is pretty good at that. So before I open it to questions, I'm going to let Rich talk about what we do, and then we'll take a couple questions if you have them. All right?
All right. Thank you, Chief. Again, my name is Officer Richard McGilvery. I'm with the Rutgers University Police Department here in the New Brunswick and Piscataway campuses. I am with the Community Policing Unit, and as the Chief said, what we try to do is take advantage of the educational environment that we work in. We have a unique position as a University Police Department where we can take advantage of the students who are already prepared to learn and use that as an opportunity to train them on how to not necessarily grow up, but experience life in a safer way. So we get a student here, approximately 18 years old. They stay till about 22. Hopefully by the time they're a senior, they know how to do things to help protect themselves and their property. But when they're 18 and they're just out of high school and maybe they come from a suburban environment, they may not be aware of all the different things that could happen to them. A lot of students come here with the idea that there's a bubble over college and that nothing ever gets in and nothing ever gets out. And from day one, we try to pop that bubble and let them realize that, hey, the things that can happen to you out in the outside world can just as easily happen to you while you're in college. And if you do something in college that is against the law and you get caught for it, if you underage drinking, DWI, experiment with drugs, and you get caught with it, those have real-life consequences, and they can travel with you from your college years straight through to when you try to go for a job. If you try to apply for a job as a teacher and they see that you have a felony for something, they're going to want you to explain that, and that could eventually jeopardize your chances of getting a job. So we want the student to be aware of that from day one so that they avoid that type of situation. So as the Chief said, we try to be proactive. We try to be out there before the crime occurs. Well, how do we do that? Well, we have many different programs. I'm only going to go into a couple of them now just to give you a highlight of the ones that are really effective. And the first one we have is the personal protection. That's the one that we really want to do first because that's the one that protects the student personally. How do they do that? Well, how do they protect themselves in an indoor environment, meaning their dorm? How do they protect themselves in an outdoor environment? How do they protect themselves in a social environment? High school party is a lot different than a college party. So what do I have to look out for? Things like that. Then we go to property protection. Property protection includes how do I secure my bicycle properly? How do I record the serial numbers on my laptop? How do I make sure I don't walk away from my property? One of the biggest problems any college or university has is theft, and that's because a lot of students leave their valuables unattended. So again, from day one, we want to try to get to the student and tell them, look, do not leave your property unattended. Things can happen to it if you walk away from it. Same thing with DWIs. When they're in high school, they may get DWI training. At our DWI training, instead of showing them gory pictures and telling them sad stories, we want to give them the facts. from the moment they pick up the drink and start drinking to the time they get behind the wheel, how that would affect them. When they get pulled over, we put the drunk goggles on them. We have them go through the walk and turn and the one-legged stand, and we have a few laughs with that. And then we also we show them what it's like to go to court and have to really go through the legal proceedings and what kind of punishments can occur from that. Again, as the chief said, we do spring break safety. We also do what's called critical incidents training for the event of an active shooter, a la Virginia Tech. What does a student do? How do they react? How do they respond? We want to try to reduce that freeze time where they just freeze there. We're not predicting that it's going to happen, but we just want to be out there in front of the curve. It's kind of like training in a storm. When you have a thunderstorm, the chances of being struck by lightning are pretty slim, but from a very early age, we're taught how to avoid being struck by lightning. So that's what we try to do in that training. So again, I'm going to leave it at that. If you need any more, if you're interested in any more information, we can go on our website, and we have all the listing of all the programs we have. One other program that I'd like to mention real quick. For anyone here who has a female student who's arriving in September, we offer a fantastic self-defense course. It's for women only. I'm the only male allowed in the course because I'm an instructor. And basically the idea behind it is to just teach them the very basic, how to throw a punch, how to throw a kick, how to get out of certain situations, how to avoid certain situations. And it's also an empowering class where we try to teach the female student, hey, I might be 5'2" and 110 pounds, but if I need to, I can kick some butt. So we try to empower them that way as well. I'll leave it at that. I am a proud graduate of Rutgers University, Rutgers College, class of 2001, and I have approximately 8 years here. So between my years here as a student and my years here as an officer, I try to blend the two of them together to offer as many interactive programs as we can. Great, thank you.
All right. Does anybody have questions that they would like to ask? I've got time for about 2 of them. The students are entered automatically into the crime alert database. When they come in, they get, I don't know how to parents. You can contact me, send me your email, and I'll check with OIT, and we can get you on probably one at a time. I don't know if you have
No, parents will get an email. Only the students can get the text message because, again, we're 58,000 students, faculty and staff get that text message as well. By being a part of the Parents Association, you can get an email. As soon as we get that alert, Andy will put it out. You'll probably get a call anyway from your son or daughter if there's something going on, but we'll do it in that way, and that's one of the benefits of the Parents Association.
Yes, sir.
My daughter and I visited another campus, college campus, for protection-wise, or they had as we took our tour, they had a blue box on a pole. Okay,
Right.
I don't know if Rutgers has anything like that. If a student is coming, let's say, from the library,
Right.
by themselves, they could push the button and they would have assistance from an officer or something to that degree in order to, in case they didn't have a roommate coming with them, they just felt a little unsafe walking back to the dorm. Is there something like that?
We have those out here. We have tons of those, actually. But what we're doing, what I made a decision, and I, of course, spoke to my boss about it, but as they die, we're pulling them out. Nobody ever uses them. We check them to make sure they work, but we don't get calls on them. We check back, like the course of the last 6 or 7 years, we haven't received any emergency call on them. It's kind of an outdated technology with the advent of the cell phone. Everybody has a cell phone, and typically when a group is walking, all of them have a cell phone. So it's kind of got to where it doesn't have any value anymore. So we're putting the resources into the cameras and into access control. We're trying to get as many buildings as we can on a lockdown where we can lock them down from the bathroom, from headquarters, and where people who are supposed to be can get in, can swipe in. They know that they're supposed to be in the building. There's hours that they're set to be there, and people who don't have a legitimate purpose in the building can't get in. So we're trying. It's still an open campus. I don't want to think we're trying to lock out the community. That's not what I'm saying. But I do want the ability to be able to do that if I need to. Yes, sir.
Talking to friends of students at another university, they mentioned that that school offers students rent like a safe for the room like you have in a hotel.
Right.
So does Rutgers offer that, or do they recommend getting something like a Home Depot? Like, what's your sort of thoughts on security within the room?
Well, I think the biggest thing you can do to encourage security in the room is to lock the door. The majority of the thefts that we have out of the residence hall is because nobody's locking the door, and then The next thing you know, somebody's brought in 6 or 7 guests, somebody's going to the men's room, somebody else is wandering around the building, and there's a party, and they're just trying doors and walking in. So the first thing I would encourage you is to remember this is not, think about when you were young. You feel very safe when you're in your house, right? They're going to school. They're going to feel the same way. They just need to remember that some of these people that are coming in are strangers, and we don't know what they're in there for, so we would like to encourage them to just lock the door. That's the best thing. We did look at safes this year. We had a discussion with a company that sells them, and there's actually a listserv that I'm on, that a lot of the university police chiefs are on, and there's a recommendation that it doesn't really make any impact to the theft numbers. So if you want to spend the money on it, yes, but maybe the better advice is to lock your door.
I have a very specific question regarding traffic safety. My daughter was in the Rutgers last year, and she's going to do it again. When they cross that street to go to everything else, there are dodging the cars. And every other place in New Jersey, they seem to have this yellow blinking light. I was wondering, as a parents association, if there's anything we can do to help the university focus on that and maybe get those blinking lights and some blinking lights to warn the cars during the crossing line.
That's an excellent question. Actually, we're going to grab your number here before we leave. Just one of the problems, I don't know what to say problem, but one of the things that we have.
Can you hear the question?
The question was just about traffic safety, pedestrian safety, particularly on the College Avenue campus, in between the river dorms and the campus as you're crossing there. One of the things that we realized over the course of the last several years is that traffic accidents involving pedestrians and bicycles were escalating in the whole College Avenue area. It's very, very populated. People try to get their car over there. That's where everybody wants to park when they're going to College Avenue, and they park like right down on top of the stop sign, so motorists can't even see the stop sign and stuff when they're coming through. So we made an assessment of it, and we've got to do a correction in that we have too many crosswalks over there. We tried to accommodate the student population as they were crossing the street, and we put in more crosswalks that are really feasible, and the drivers have no tolerance for that many crosswalks, and they just kind of become almost immune to it. In terms of the flash, you also asked about the flashing yellow lights, which you'll see several of those down in the George Street area, but further down towards Johnson & Johnson. That road actually is not a New Brunswick road. So that's one of the issues related to how that gets repaired and what happens with that road. So New Brunswick actually got a grant. They did a research study. They found out where they were having accidents, and they got grant money, but that's not one of the areas where they were having a problem that got selected first for repair. So they were actually having more issues down on the other end, closer to the Johnson & Johnson campus. So they did some stuff down there. They did some major improvements, but I'm sure that as time goes, if grant money is still available in the state of New Jersey, we'll be trying to get it again. Yes, sir.
Yeah, does the campus police have a 911 system?
We certainly do.
Now, what is the process?
All right. The question is, does campus police have a 911 system? Campus police department, we're very fortunate. We're in a fairly new building. We're in a building that's about 6 years old. We have a state-of-the-art communication system with a 911 center. Just pick up the phone, you dial 911. If it's a cell phone, it'll triangulate your position down. We'll be able to tell where somebody's at just off the cell phone call. We also dispatch for the towns of Dunellen, and we're in conversations with other towns in the county to pick up their dispatching. The state-of-the-art dispatch center, our dispatchers are second to none, and the equipment and the technology we have in there is second to none. Yes, sir.
My question is humble. And it is the following. Some of our students live off campus on College Avenue.
Sorry, sir, I can't hear you.
Some of our students live off campus on College Avenue. And they perform their studies in the library late at night. Do they receive police protection when they go back? Because we know from history of the problems that they're having on that area.
Yeah. I think I have a question.
Yeah, it was about all cases housing. If they're in the library, they want to walk back. Do they have? Can they get protected to go one from another, from one place to another?
Yes, we do offer security escorts. So if your son or daughter would like an escort back from the library over to wherever they reside, we'll certainly do that for them. In terms of crime in the library, the College Avenue Library is a place that we have criminal incidents, mainly theft. If you have an iPad or a iPhone or your Mac and you leave it unattended for any length of time, it could be taken. And it's not just outside people who are taking those. Those are, it's unfortunate, but it does happen, and it happens with probably more regularity than any of us would like to see. So encourage them to keep their property with them. That's the most frequent thing that would happen inside the library or going back and forth from the library. And anytime they're concerned for their safety, call the police department and we'll provide an escort. We don't have any issue with that. That's one of the services we do. Did that answer your question? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. One more. I'm sorry.
Does the campus police have a program whereby a student can register their valuables like a laptop, and then if it's stolen, the police can track it, some kind of tracking device that they can stick on it or something like that?
Well, there are some things. I can't sell any product, okay? So I'm not selling any product, but there are companies that make something similar to LoJack on a car. They do make that for computers and for technology. So yes, that is something that we would recommend. The department doesn't sell it, and we can't encourage someone by brand name to do that. But that is a very, very good idea about how to try to get your property back. We also have things that we do that we really don't advertise, where we're able to track when somebody logs onto the Rutgers network and figure out where they are, and if that's something that's been reported stolen, and record your serial numbers, get that. We don't have a database for computers or electronic equipment. We have one for bicycles. They get stolen with some regularity, and I don't want to say all the time, but with enough regularity that we pay attention to it, and we try to monitor the bike racks and keep it from happening. So I would encourage anybody that wants to, if you invested a lot of money in your computer or your electronic equipment, think about keeping it safe and what you need to do to do that, and we'll certainly go out. We've gotten phone calls from people with their iPhones that say, hey, my iPhone was just logged on just off campus here, can you help me? And we go over and we're able to help them, we're able to get their rights to get their equipment back. So that's good. Mac does a good job of being able to do that. All right, thank you.
We have a couple more presentations, and like I said, I promised I would get you out. I first want to, I guess, kind of apologize. Normally, if you see me, I usually wear a jacket and tie, and I'm really not this way, but I sit on a very important committee at the university. It's called the Golf Committee, and once a month, the members of the Golf Committee have to go on the Rutgers course and play and evaluate the course for the good of the general public. So I don't miss many committee meetings. I've been here 40 years, and that's one of the ones, so I apologize a little bit for the way I came. So next, I'd like to introduce Anna from Computing Services to talk a little bit about some of the computer needs that you might have. Anna.
So my name is Anna. I'm the manager for our computing help desk on the New Brunswick campus, and I wanted to give you a little bit of information to go over the guide with you. We did make an effort to put a lot of information in this little guide. We wanted to keep it small so that it's not intimidating, but I just wanted to go through and let you know some of the things that your children would need to know. First of all, how many of you have children that are going to be living in a dorm? Most? Okay. How about off-campus housing? Okay. Okay. Just want to focus my talk. That way you all have a good idea of what you will need to have in the future. Now, the first page, one of the first things we have here is our URL for the new student webpage, and this webpage is focused on information that new students would need. One of the main things that they need is a net ID, that's a network identifier, that's their electronic identifier to be able to access services at the university. Many things are online now. We're trying to make things as much convenient, trying to cater to the convenience as much as possible. So they can go online, they can use their network identifier to access most services at the university. There are some things that are actually not accessible through the net ID password. There are separate passwords for some things, but we're moving towards making most of the services accessible through one identifier so that they can remember the net ID, they can remember their password, and they can use it to log on to everything. Okay. The other thing that you have there is my Rutgers portal. That's also on the first page. Now that is a portal that they can log into to look at various things that they need. for academics as well as their calendar. Their calendar, then they can put academic calendar in there. It gives them access to their email. They can configure it to whichever email account it is that they want to show up over there, any Rutgers account. They can use the NetID page to also create email accounts as well as the identifier and password itself. They can also write up an email address. So every student will be able to have an @rutgers.edu email address. And they can use the NetID page to set that up. Now they can have their email going to wherever it is that they want. If they don't want a Rutgers email account because they already have one that they like, they can have their Rutgers address set up and forward to that email. We want to be able to communicate with them, so they should always keep something configured, but it doesn't have to be anything that Rutgers offers necessarily. So we also have a Google service for email. So a lot of students are already used to using Google for their personal email, so we have a Google iteration for Rutgers that is very similar, and it will allow them to get in touch with their classmates more easily, and professors will start using it to communicate with the whole class, so everyone will have a Google account called scarletmail.org. But again, it's up to them to configure it. If they don't need an extra email account, if they don't want it, they don't have to have it unless the professor requires it.
The other thing I wanted to go into is, Google Apps. That's at the bottom of your screen, of your first page. The computer labs are available for students that want to either collaborate or they want to go into a public lab and sit with friends and either check their email or work on their classwork together. They do have some loungy type computer labs now. There's one called Alcove on the College Ave where they have round tables that are made for collaborating for classwork. They have little screens where they can actually project their project together so multiple people can work on the same thing together. We also have multiple computer labs on every campus. So Bush campus has a brand new dorm that's coming up that will have a computer lab in the dorm. We have 2 other computer labs on Bush campus. There's 4 computer labs on Cook Douglas. There's also 2 computer labs on Livingston, and there's multiple computer labs on College Ave as well. There's one in there's 2 actually in Alexander Library. There's one in Rutgers Hall on College Ave, and there are 2 others. So there are plenty of computer labs available. If they don't want to carry their computer around, they can go to the computer lab and they can use the computers there. They can print at the computer labs. We also provide access to selected software packages. So there is discounted software packages available for their computer. So if they have a new computer and they haven't bought Microsoft Office yet, they can get that through Rutgers, and there's information available online in that package. We also are very conscientious about data security and privacy. So we do ask students, and I would hope that parents would encourage this as well, is that please do not share your NetID password. We ask the students not to share the NetID password because, like I said, NetID password is being used for more and more things now. So they can use their NetID password to sign up for classes. They can use it to check their grades. And that's not the kind of information that you'd want to share with anyone else, whether it be your roommate or anybody else. So we want to, even parents, students are responsible for their account, their NetID, and their password, and we do ask that they do not share it. For students that actually start working at the university, for student workers at the university, they'll be able to set up their direct deposit. They'll be able to reroute where their money goes from their paycheck using their NetID password. It's not the kind of thing that you'd want somebody else to have. So we want to encourage people to not share their NetID password, and we also want to ask students to be careful about phishing attempts, and that is where people will send emails to your account saying, oh, your account is going to get upgraded. Just, type in your email and your password. Don't fall for those. Those are hoaxes, and we don't want people responding to those emails. We try to limit it as much as possible so that they don't come through, but they somehow do. So we do want to make sure that people protect their account as they would their private property that they value, because it does allow you to get into some very personal things. There's also, on the 3rd page here, there's also information about tools for students. There's a lot of administrative tools that are available now. They can, check their degree, their financial aid. They have course software. Many of these programs that are listed here are used for collaboration, for submitting their homework, and for making resources available online. So they'll be using those. They'll be using either Sakai or Blackboard or RutgersOnline.net to do their schoolwork. We also have RUNet available, which allows them to watch TV online. And we also have other specific servers for higher education, for computer science type work that they may need to do, that allows them to do more information systems type of projects, which requires a Unix account, for example. That service is also available to all students at this time. The last page, at the top, it talks about residence halls and what they need to do in residence hall in order to get online. We do have high-speed Ethernet connections in each dorm, so they can connect that way. And we also have RU Wireless, which is RU Wireless connections in most dorm lounges. It's not in every room, but it is available in most lounges. Some buildings are fully RU Wireless capable, but all of them are not. So the new dorm on Bush campus does have RU Wireless. Yeah, it's fully RU Wireless capable. Okay, most of the common areas like student centers, lounges, most of the libraries, for example, they all have RU Wireless, so they can go and they can connect. They can connect to RU Wireless. We provide a secure RU Wireless service so that information is encrypted and it's practically safe for them to be able to do whatever it is that they need to do online. Okay, we do also provide antivirus software, so we do encourage everyone to get antivirus software on their computers just to make sure that their computers are secure. And we also provide a service on campus for computer repair. They allow, you can get suggestions on hardware from them, but they will also fix computers for you for a fee. They will also provide a loaner laptop if you need it while your computer is being fixed. And we also have an online service that allows you to buy computers at a discounted price, and that's at findtech.rutgers.edu, which is our portal for getting discounted hardware and software. Okay. Does anyone have any questions that I can answer? Any technology-related questions?
We have two more short presentations, and then we're going to do the raffle drawing too. And so we will certainly be out of here before 9 and give everybody an opportunity to do what we said we would. Michelle, can you? One of the new areas in the university, we have a legal center now that students can go to for advice and change. And Michelle is one of the attorneys, or one of the two attorneys in the legal center that's working today at our student life gathering. We had a full outline of what the legal center does and all, and we thought that Michelle ought to just briefly give you some information in case your sons or daughter are interested in some legal services.
Thank you. My name is Michelle Linder. I have been working at the Office of Student Legal Services since March of this year. Our office just opened in September of 2010, so we're very new, but we've been very used. Which doesn't mean that it's bad, it means that it's good, that our students are finding out that we provide services for them that will help them learn more about growing into adulthood. Because the first contract we found that they needed to know more about, for the most part, is their lease. So a lot of you have freshmen that are in the dorms, and they are not concerned about landlord-tenant matters. But fairly soon, they will be asking you if they can rent an apartment. So I'm just going to go to that in a moment, but I want to give you a little bit of background about our office. First of all, the office is located at 14 Lafayette Street, which is on the College Avenue campus. There are 2 attorneys there that are available for the students Monday through Friday. We're available for them all year round, so if they are on spring break and they need us, they can call. If they are at the Jersey Shore and they find that they need us, they can also make an appointment and come in and see an attorney. There is no fee for the students to come into our office. It is completely funded by the university. Now, when the students come in, they make an appointment first with our secretary or administrative assistant, they come in and their interview with us is completely confidential. And if you as a parent are interested in coming with your student, they will have to give the permission to our office to have you there during the conference. They're treated like adults, so they are the ones that we speak to. Let's see. We do two things. A lot of the work I've been involved in has been the landlord-tenant matters. We've actually had a seminar where we've invited students and local landlords to come into our on campus and to learn more about what their rights are as tenants and what the landlords are entitled to do as landlords. And we don't want them to be taken advantage of. So because of that, we have set up clinics, which we call them night reviews, and the students can come in, make an appointment. For $25 each, they can have their lease reviewed by an attorney, and then they will get a letter generated by that attorney. It will go to the landlord, and then we will outline for that tenant what rights they have under their lease, and we will give them advice as to what they need to know as a tenant. It's only $25. It is one of the things you should tell your students, that they should come to us. It will save them a lot of money so that I don't have to see them in May and try to figure out how to get their security deposits back. We also do have situations where there are students that come in with indictable offenses. We do not represent them, but we will intake them, and then we will refer them to an attorney in the New Brunswick area if it happens in New Brunswick. We have a referral system that's set up with the Middlesex County Bar Association, and they will work with us, and they will represent the students at a reduced cost. Initially, they will either charge nothing or maybe $35 at the most to go and meet with your student. After that, the representation of your student is about $75 an hour, which is a much reduced cost than if you were to have to hire an attorney on your own. One of the other areas that we're going to be doing, other than representing the students, we will also take the opportunity to do educational outreach. So this past year we did our landlord-tenant seminar. We'll be doing that again for everybody. We will also be doing an immigration seminar, and as the needs arise, we will listen to the students and see what they need to know. I'm hoping to do maybe a credit seminar with them and also talk to them about some other issues, maybe on a more personal note, hopefully get into the dorms and they can ask us questions as they need to. I think that's about it. We are, like I said, 14 Lafayette, and if you want to take our phone number down, you can give this to your students so they can have that with them. They can put it right into their phones. It's 732-932-4529. Thank you.
All of the things that we've gone over today, including some information on computing services, the stuff about the legal center, all of these things that you hear today will go on our website. Our website will connect with the other websites in the university. You have access to the office. You can always call or email responses. For those who know, I type 4 words a minute. I really don't answer questions on email. Andy does. But I'm good at phone calls. And my cell phone is on everything, including the information. So if you have a question or a concern, and it's Sunday night, it's 11 o'clock, and you're really having trouble sleeping, call me. It's okay. I sleep very well. The phone's always next to me. If I can answer the question, I will. If I can't answer that question, I will get back to you the next day with the right information and who you can call to get that. So we really act as a resource for you. What I'd like to do now is introduce John Cusack, who is the manager of Barnes & Noble, who handles the book purchases. And we figure that's probably one of the things that you'll be doing soon, whether you're an upper class student or whether you're an incoming first-year student, you need to get your book. So, John, it's all you.
Hi, everybody. My name is John. I'm the general manager of the Rutgers bookstores. Can everybody hear me? Am I speaking into this correctly? Okay. Usually when I give these talks, I go way over my allotted time and I leave out half the information somehow. So I actually have a few notes so I don't miss anything. And if I go past 10 minutes, somebody just go like this to me and I'll stop. I'm going to stand at the back when this is over. I have a couple handouts and I can answer any questions at that point. I first want to quickly thank the Parent Association for asking me to giving me the time to speak to you tonight. I've been here 3 years. I have the utmost respect for the Parents Association. I think they fulfill a really important service here, and they're really nice people, and there's a lot to be said for that, so I really appreciate that. I want to give you what I think is good news about textbooks. Before I do that, I just want to give you a little bit of information of who we are. So we're Barnes & Noble College Division. We operate the Rutgers University bookstore, so we have a contract with Rutgers to run their bookstores. We have 7 different stores on the 4 campuses, and we're building a new academic superstore. Some of you might be familiar with that. It's on right by the New Brunswick train station. It's going to be 45,000 square feet, 3 floors, general books, textbooks, and everything else, a huge Starbucks. And then we're also building a new store in the new Livingston construction. Both of these stores are going to be moving into after January 1st next year, so I think I'm going to be a little bit busy next year. But this is great for Rutgers, these 2 new big Barnes & Noble stores. And they're very conducive to students and parents and alumni to come in when they're visiting and hang out. We have lots of tables and seating and so forth. Being in a relationship with Rutgers to run their bookstores, there are certain obligations that we have. And one of them is that we get the right book, enough books for every student, and we get books for every single course taught on campus, which nobody else will do. So if you come to our bookstore, our website, you know you're getting the right book, which is very important. When my son was in college, that did not happen where he was going. You know we're going to have enough books for you, and we're going to have the books for every single course, which there are thousands and thousands and thousands. It's amazing how many there are here in Rutgers. Our main bookstore, and I won't go into all the small convenience stores which are in the student centers, but our main bookstore is by the New Brunswick train station. We're moving to the other side of the train station in the new one next year. But that store that I call the mothership is where we have every book for every class. There's also a parking garage there with validated parking right on top, so if you want to come in. So that's, again, where we have every book for every class, and that's where we fulfill our online orders, which we ship out to the other stores, which I'll get into in a moment. So as I mentioned, I think there is really good news in textbooks. 3 or 4 years ago, I think all the news you heard was about how expensive they were. A lot of that was in the news. Congress even came out with a new act called the Higher Education Act, which dealt with the high price of textbooks. What Barnes & Noble has done, and I think it's really commendable, is we've done 3 things. Last year, when I was speaking from the parents right before the fall term, I introduced for the first time we were going to do rentals. And it was a phenomenal success. I've been with the company 12 years. One of the best things I've seen happen, I've seen our company do, is offer rentals. Now, last year, 22% of our title list, so our title list is there might be 3 or 4 books per course. 22% of those we had available for rental. In the spring term, which started in January, we had maybe 31%. Well, I'm happy to say now 49% of the title list is available for rentals. When your sons or daughters rent books from us, what they're really doing is just renting the book for the amount of time they're going to be in that class. They return the book to us after finals are over. We send them 4 reminders through text messaging or emails. We can even have you added to that list because you might pay attention to it as the students don't. And then we give a little grace period, which we don't tell them about right off the bat. They're getting 50% off the price of a new book. And here's the important thing. They can highlight in that book. They can write notes in that book. Because when we take that book back from them, that's now a used book to us. So it's just as if they bought the book and then sold it back to us as a used book. I could tell you a lot more about rentals. I'll leave it at that. I will say this. If my son was still in college, I would tell him rent anytime you have that opportunity. The second best way to save money on textbooks that we offer is a ton of used books. Used books are usually 25% off the price of a new book. Where we get our used book inventory is through other Barnes & Noble stores, because we're all part of one network, but we buy back books from students. We've been here for 3 years now, and we've given back over, I think, like $2.8 million in cash on campus to students. And we buy back the books at the end of the term. I do notice when I speak in front of the student groups, though, and I've said that, and they know I'm going to speak to the parents, I've had a couple of students tell me, don't mention that to the parents, because you might find they don't share that information as readily as they might. And the third way is, and it's the newest way, is really digital books. Now, right now, you're all probably familiar with the digital books and general reading books. In textbooks, it's taken a little bit longer for that process to evolve, because of a textbook, often there are 4 or 5 editors or authors, and there are graphs and charts, so there's more technology involved. But we do offer digital books, There's a product that's a free product developed by Barnes & Noble called Nook Study. I'm going to give out free cards, free downloads after this, but you could go home right now and download it. It's software. It's not a device. It's software. So you download this device, this software for free. You buy a digital book, and you download that book onto this software, and it's just incredible. You can highlight with it again. You can have multiple pages open. You can go right to a dictionary. You can make notations in it. It's really something you should take a look at. Right now, I think about 28% of all books are available in digital format. I don't know the projections, but I imagine in 4 or 5 years, that number's going to be really big. So right now, at that gateway store that we're building, we have a whole lower level designated to textbooks. And this was probably designed 5 years ago. And I'm already thinking, what else am I going to do with that space? You know, thinking a lap pool or something of that nature, because I really think we're going to see a huge crossover every year, going more and more to digital books. So that's how I think the good news about keeping the price down. The last thing I'll go over is we try to make it as easy as possible. And I think the students are doing this already themselves, but they're so used to buying things online. So what students are doing, they go to our website and they order their books from us online. They can choose one of 7 places to pick up those books. So say they're living on the Bush campus, but our main store's in College Ave campus. They're living on the Bush campus. They order their books. They check off that they want to pick it up at the Bush campus, and we bring it over to our Bush convenience store, and they pick up the books there. So there are 7 different locations they can pick up the books. When they register for their classes, because we're affiliated with Rutgers, it's called registration integration. And when you register for your classes, there's a link to our website. It automatically downloads all the books that go with the classes you just selected. It's also nice to go and look at that before you pick a class, because we show you the price, but we also show you what books go with that class, and that may come in handy when you're choosing what classes to take. When you look at a book for a class, it's going to tell you the new price, the used price, the rental price, and the digital price, if it's offered in all of those, and it will clearly state that. So the student then checks online, picks which book they want, which format they want. They select which location they want to pick it up at. We box it up there, and we ship it off. So even if they order their books right now and had us send them to the Livingston store or else held in our store, they can still return any books for free refund, full refund, up to the end of the first week of classes. We give them a month to return books if they are adding or dropping a class. So, unlike the Rutgers Police Department, we do sell things, and that's what we're in business for, but we also provide a service. I believe we have a good reputation on campus. Another service we provide is if there's a problem with their books, or if there's a problem, they're one day late on the return, and then they have their mom and dad call me, we tend to do whatever we can to create a good atmosphere and help the student, because we really want that student to come back to us the following year. We want their brother and sister to come. We want you to visit us when you come for a football game or our alumni or parent association event, and we want them to come back with their alumni. So I think we have a reputation, I hope you'll find that to be true, of giving really good customer service as well. So 3 things I'm going to have over there. I'm going to have this Nook Study card, which gives you information on the free Nook download, Nook Study download. So you could go home and download this now. It gives you a couple free ebooks as well from Barnes & Noble, and a free textbook, so you can download the textbook onto the Nook Study software and see how that works. I have the always popular coupon cards. So these are good these are 20% off discount cards, which are good at any of the stores. Not on textbooks though. Textbooks, we have the rentals and all the stuff I just went over. I had such a run-in with the parent because they thought I said it was good for textbooks too. But so everybody hear me on that? And maybe I'll get a few names and I can say they can call. And then I have a flyer which goes over, it's under here, but I'll give it out over there. And that's a flyer which explains in greater detail the rentals, the digital, and our website and all the other information, all the addresses of all our bookstores. Okay, thank you.
I like what John said. Barnes & Noble does charge you everything. You've heard everything else tonight, from me included. It's free. The bus system isn't free. The police aren't free. The health center's not free. It's all part of the tuition and fees that you pay built into it. So it looks like it's free in the sense that you're not putting any money out of your pocket midstream, but you've paid for all of these things. And that's exactly why we think it's important for us to work with you and listen to you so that we can adjust what we need to do. We're going to draw the raffle prizes in a second. I just want to say that there's as you can see from what we do today, we're a really large organization, and we don't expect everybody to be here for everything. We couldn't do that. But we do set up our structure in a committee phase. You don't have to be a part of the board, even though I said if you're interested in being on the board, we're looking to take on 8 to 10 new members who want to sit on the parents' board. All you have to do is email Andy or I or whatever and let us know that you're interested and give us some information about yourself. But we do have 6 committees, and you can, as a parent, sit on one of those committees. We require that you can't sit on more than one committee. We don't want you to do a ton, but if you're interested in the social committee, the orientation committee, the scholarship committee, the external political committee, the marketing committee for the association, or the internal advocacy committee, we're going to put sign-up sheets. Kim will put sign-up sheets in the middle here. If you would like to get more information about one of those committees, when they meet, what they do, please put your name on and we'll send you information and let you know, and you can be a major contributor to what the association actually does. Now, we have 4 gifts for the raffle. One is a L'Oreal basket. One is a $75 Barnes & Noble gift certificate that can be used for books, I assume. One is a wine basket. And the last is a 1-year membership to the Zimmerle Art Museum. One of the things you'll find that if you do come to parents' meetings, we try and meet throughout the university so you get to see, again, we're your state university. We're open. You can come here anytime you want and visit and participate in these things. The Zimmerle Art Museum is one of those great facilities, one of those great things we have in the university. Again, thank you all for coming. Check out your website and make sure we communicate. Have a great rest of your summer.